So back in 2001 in the summer, I took a trip. I took a trip around the United States of America on a train. I just brought my guitar. I'm a musician. Got off the train, played different cities, wherever I could. It was a long trip, and sort of towards the end of it, I ended up in New York. And when I went to play my gig there, I was pleasantly surprised to see a familiar face in the audience. It was a gal I had known by the name of Liza, and she and I had dated actually for about 8 months back in Toronto, about 8 months previous to this point. So there she was, and after being in a desert of anonymity for about a month, it felt pretty great to see someone who knew me and also looked so nice and smelled so good. So we had a great evening after the show and walked some and talked some and drank some and got a hotel room some. And it was a lovely night. So about a week later, I'm back in the city and sort of couch surfing, don't know what I'm doing. Walking down the street, middle of the day, somewhere downtown, and I see someone down the road that my sixth sense is telling me I know that person. And as I get closer, I'm like, oh shit. And it's Liza, and she's walking right towards me, and everything's clenching. All the things that can clench are clenching. But I'm playing it cool, I'm like, So we get close to one another, and we're face to face, and of course, we hadn't spoken since that night, and I'm like, oh, that's what guilty pleasure means. Here's the guilt part. So she's kind of, I noticed she's kind of red around the eyes and sort of sniffling a little bit. She says she's on her way to the doctor, she's taking off work. We have a little chit chat. We're both very cool about everything, and so long, see you later. And whew, that's done. The next day, I get a phone call, and it's Liza on the phone. Do you want to meet? Do you want to have a coffee? Yeah, okay. And I'm thinking, oh, she wants to get back together. I'm so irresistible. And we get together, and we're having a chit-chat, and this, that, and she says, well, I actually called you here for a reason, and the reason is that, you know, you saw me on the way to the doctor yesterday, and I was, I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant, no, with your child. And I want to keep. I want to keep him, So, wild. And, but I must say, besides the phantasmagoric kind of like surreal element, part of me was like, that's really hot. she's pregnant, you know, and like she wants to keep it. That's about as big a compliment as you can probably get. So we start we start to have these great meetings over the next few weeks. What do we do? And lots of thinking and wondering. The age of wondering begins. I remember I get a room in an attic with some friends, and I'm like just constantly just lying on my futon, and I'm like just so sad and but very calm, you know, and just kind of thinking and listening to Famous Blue Raincoat, you know, and watching John Cassavetes movies and stuff, and just thinking about life and going like, how did this happen, and can I do this, and can we do this, and what does this all mean? I've got no money, I've got no job, I don't even know what I want to be. Like, there's this being, and anyway, I decide I can't just not be responsible for this. And in terms of our relationship, I'd already been kind of thinking about the way relationships work in the Western world. It's sort of flavor-based, you know, and no, flavors don't last. And there is something like that's beyond it, something that's real, something with roots. And I thought, this woman is great. She's honest, she's conscientious, she's upright, She smells good. Did I mention that? And I'm not talking perfume. I'm talking like, pheromones. And so I say to her, look, I really want to do this. I want us to do this if you want to do this with me. Because she's already let me know that she wants to keep the baby one way or the other. And so she agrees. She says, okay. So we get a place. We start living together. We're doing all the things that people who live together do. Sharing things. Talking about things. But I also feel there is a little hesitation. Like she's not totally trusting me. Like she thinks that maybe I'm there for the wrong reasons or reasons I'm not saying, and there's not a lot of future plans being made. There's not a lot of emotional conversations. Plus she's got a very dry sense of humor, which I love. And but often she says things that I'm like joking on them for hours after breakfast. And so I'm thinking, what happens? What's going to happen next? So I remember one night I'm coming home, and I think I'm at a gig or something, and I'm on my bike, and it's one of those beautiful, warm Toronto nights, and I'm just biking away, and I'm singing, what the world needs now is love, sweet love, or something like that. And I don't care if everyone's looking at me, and because I know what I need to do. And I get home, and Liza's asleep because she's pregnant, and I wake her up, and I'm like, hey, Liza, I want to marry you. Let's get married. And she's like groggy, and she's like, are you sure? And it was a little anticlimactic. So, but she agreed. I mean, the next day we sort of sat there and we talked a little bit about it. And I was like, remember last night and what I said? And, she was just like eating her grapefruit, lots of grapefruit. And that was what the pregnancy was all about. And I'm drinking lots of coffee. And yes, let's get married. Let's do this. Let's set a date. Let's live in our hot little apartment. And then things started to just come at us, money, job, family, future plans. And we're dealing with this and we're becoming like a unit, And so the date arrives, or the date is set, I should say, for our wedding, and we have to start making plans. So how do we do this? Well, I'm of a Soviet Jewish origin. Liza's American, sort of non-religious. Where do we find the common ground to announce to the world that we are a couple? So we find this guy. Somebody tell us about this guy. His name is Rabbi Marshall Reese. And we call up Rabbi Marshall Reese, and he comes to our house, and he is a lumbering hot man, and he walks up the stairs, and he's like, do you have a drink of water? And he's like so hot. So he drinks his glass of water and then another glass of water. And we can barely get a word in edgewise. He's just talking. Oh, you guys are beautiful. Oh, Lisa, you are so lovely. And I'm like, Liza, yes, that's what it looks like. Liza, yes, Alex, Lisa, you're going to be terrific. And he's given us the plans. We're going to make a chuppah, which is like this big tent that you do in a Jewish ceremony where it sort of represents the new home you're entering. And he's whipping out these pieces of paper with photocopies and arrows and a number 1 written in marker. And he's like, I'm so in love with everything that you're doing. You're such wonderful people. I can feel it. And we're getting ready. We're getting excited. We're thinking this is pretty surreal. We're thinking we're going to enjoy this because it's got lots of surreal elements to it. It's funny and it's beautiful too. And so we go ahead and we book this date. The date is up at some sort of Russian-Israeli restaurant up near Dufferin and Steele's in a strip mall. Lots of mirrors on the ceiling, and this is how the Russians party up there. And it's we thought our friends are going to love this, like food on the table, lots of vodka and crafts, and top 40 band. We bus everyone up there. And Marshall Reese is going to be there to preside. He's going to sing us down the aisle. He even offers us, he says, I'm only a rabbi half the year. The other half of the year, I'm in Las Vegas. I'm a performer. So if you would like, after the ceremony, I'd be happy to stay and entertain your guests. And we're like, well, maybe. So the chuppah's there, and the ceremony goes off well, and it comes to the point in the ceremony where you wrap this empty wine glass and you put it on the ground, and the groom smashes it. And I remember telling Liza about this, and she's like, why do you get to smash it? Why don't I get to smash the glass? And I'm like, you're right. I don't know. This is how this religion thing works. Do you want to smash the glass? She's like, no, don't worry about it. So they wrap the glass. We're walking. Well, first we walk down the aisle. Sunrise, sunset. Marshall Reese is singing. Our friends are all like crying and laughing, and our family's all happy, and it's just lovely. And I break the glass. The horror starts. We're all dancing and eating too much and drinking too much, and people are raising toasts and little speeches. And I get up and I say, okay, well, thanks to everyone, and I thank all our loved ones. I thank everyone who's close to us. I thank Liza. I declare my love. And then it's Liza's turn. And she comes up on the stage, and she makes a very beautiful short speech. And it is to do with commitment, which she's a firm believer in, which is the thing I knew about her, and one of the things that I knew was permanent about her, and one of the reasons I thought, of course I'm going to say yes to this woman. And the next thing she talked about is sacrifice. And she says, so I've learned a lot about sacrifice, and when I met Alex, I thought, well, he's really into music, and to me, music is just like a little bit of a distraction, but I realized that I'd have to up my game a bit and change some of the things I'm listening to, at which point she whips out a CD of the Cranberries, and she throws it on the ground, and she smashes it with her heel. And the crowd just went absolutely ballistic, and we danced the night away, and it was a lovely way to start our life. And that is my story. Thank you. I think that am I supposed to play a song now, or is that later? Now? So I'm going to do my domestic drama in a musical version. All right. So just so you know, we are still married. It's going to be 14 years in August. Actually, our son is graduated from grade 8 tonight. Yeah, thank you. I wasn't there. It's daddy time. Can you hear this? All right. Don't worry, because I'm going to keep it quiet, so it doesn't have to get too loud. I'm smarter than a chair until it needs red paint. Then I'm amazed in a forest of stairs, crying oil and picking horsetail feathers from my eyes. A grid of shadows press my face. I am a forger of a fake who dabs and bursts each blood-filled egg and whips his raw steak of a brush into an X. I wanna quit with all my skin, but I can't find a place to sit with all this red that's on my hands, or even taste these slapdash tears back to the skull. Yeah. price. I rub it on like it's tan lotion, and like a child, I let it stream, watching it ebb, full of emotion. My neighbor stares, he's red as Mars. He's smarter than a can of paint. It looks real nice, he finally says. And where's your lovely wife today? She's in the house baking a cake. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hey, thank you. Marsha, thank you.